Last week, I showed you the 3 biggest lessons I learned building an AI tutor for my college students. And after using it off and on in my college class for weeks, I started receiving messages from students who were having issues. One student got 1 checkpoint question. Another student got 3. The custom instructions within the GPT clearly say to ask exactly 2. The knowledge file clearly contains exactly 2 questions. So why is this happening? Honestly, I have no clue. So today, instead of guessing, we're going to troubleshoot this together. Hi, I'm Chris, and welcome to the AI Professor, where I help educators use AI to save time, improve teaching, and work smarter. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, I'd recommend starting there first. In that video, I introduced Riley Response and share the 3 biggest mistakes I made while building it. I've linked that video up here. Then come back here because today we're picking up right where that video ended. One thing I want to point out before we get started, I have not solved this problem yet, so everything you're about to see is my real troubleshooting process. And hopefully together we can figure it out. I only know about issues in module 7 of the GPT because students emailed me with the problems they encountered. I asked them to share screenshots, which I'll now share with you. Let's get into my screen.
Let's start with what we know. Here is student A. They completed the module 7 and Riley only asked 1 checkpoint question. Here's student B, same module, same GPT, and the student received 3 checkpoint questions. None of these 3 checkpoint questions were in the script that Riley was supposed to follow. And that's a problem because every student should receive, number one, the exact same 2 checkpoint questions, and the checkpoint questions should be specifically from the script. So before I touch a single instruction or knowledge file, I want to answer one question. Can I reproduce this problem? So now I'm going to test Riley response. I'm going to use Riley exactly the way one of my students would. No shortcuts, no special prompts, no trying to trick it, just the normal workflow. So here I've typed in module 7 because I want to see what questions it's going to give me. It starts out and does exactly what it's supposed to do, giving me a welcome. It gives me a link to those study materials that include the chapters, lecture videos, podcast. And after I look through all that, I'm supposed to come back here and type done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And right now, it's taking quite a while to think. And here we go. Okay, so it's giving a summary of chapter 10, and it's giving me my first question. So I'm going to go ahead and answer that question. And we're going to see if it gives me the second question. Great, it's giving me a second question. And I'm going to answer that one. And it's not giving me any more questions, but one successful test doesn't prove anything. So let's try that again. So here we are again, starting from scratch. All right, and I'm going to type done, and it's giving me the summary, and then it's giving me the exact same question as before, so that's good. And all right, and only 2 questions again. So let's now check to make sure that the questions it's giving us are directly from the script that I have asked it to give us. Okay, so up here you'll see question 1 that Riley gave us, and this is the actual knowledge file within Riley. And chapter 10 emphasizes the integration of muscle memory built. What is the best meaning? So it looks like it is the correct question 1. All right, and here's the question 2 that Riley gave us, and this is the actual knowledge file. And there is a problem here. Question 2, what does the Route 91 response show about integrated public safety coordination? But it should be, according to Chapter 10, what is the clearest operational benefit of agencies sharing information early in a fast-moving incident? So although Riley did give me 2 checkpoint questions, the checkpoint questions are not exactly the same. So there is obviously a problem here. Now, this was the first time I tried it and it gave me 2 questions. You can see that question 1 is exactly the same as the question that I wanted it to give. Question 2, again, different. So both of the times that I tested it, it gave the correct question 1, but an incorrect question 2. It did give 2 checkpoint questions, which it was supposed to give. So there is obviously some type of problem here with this module. Now, students had only notified me they were having problems with module 7, and we just tested that one, but I really want to test module 6 and see what's happening there. Now, module 6 is supposed to actually have 3 checkpoint questions based on the script that I gave it, so we're going to confirm that now. Here is the summary of chapters 7, 8, and 9. There should be a checkpoint question for each of those chapters. So we're going to go ahead and answer this question. We'll see if it comes up with a question for the next chapter, which is going to be chapter 8. And we'll go ahead and answer that question. And let's see about chapter 9. And we'll go ahead and answer that question. All right, and it says that we're complete. Now we're going to check it against the script. So here's the question 1 for chapter 7. It looks like it is exactly the same. Here is question 2 for chapter 8. According to emotional intelligence, yep, looks exactly the same. And for chapter 9, looks exactly the same. So we have no issues with module 6. And before I move on, I just want to check one more module to see if really the only issue is with module 7. Now, module 5 is going to have 2 checkpoint questions according to the knowledge file. Let's check that now. Here's the summary of chapters 5 and 6, and then our first question. And I'm going to go ahead and answer that. And sometimes these GPTs can think for quite a bit of time because it's actually pulling information from the specific knowledge file. So it could take it some time to find that specific information. And here is the second question for chapter 6. And I'm going to go ahead and answer that. And so it has given us the 2 questions. So let's quickly check that against the module file. The module 5, question 1, chapter 5 argues the hardest part of integration is often not in the first hour, it's in the days that follow. It looks like it's correct. And chapter 6, according to chapter 6, why can communication failures be more than just a technology problem? So it does appear as though the only issue from the 3 modules that we have tested here together is with module 7. So my next step in debugging it is to verify the problem isn't in my files. And we've already looked at the checkpoint question knowledge file within the GPT, but now I want to check some additional files to confirm. So this is a markdown file of the script that Riley Response is actually supposed to follow for Module 7. As you can see, it starts with the chapter, it's giving them the welcome, it gives them that link that goes out to those external study tools that I have given them. It asks them to come here and type done, and it says don't move on until and provide the chapter summary or the checkpoint question until the student types done, which you saw that we did that together. Once the student types done, then it's supposed to display this chapter summary verbatim, and then it's supposed to go through the checkpoint questions, which were directly from that file that I already showed you, which is this file here. And as you can see, it's supposed to be 2 checkpoint questions. It's giving the correct first one, but it's giving an incorrect second one. And to some students, it's only giving 1 question, and to some students, 3 questions. This is another knowledge file that gives Riley Response the answers to those checkpoint questions. So I want to confirm that there are only 2 answers here, and there are only 2 answers here. So that's not the problem. This is our system instructions. And I think I told you in the first video, there's only a little bit of space where you can write your custom instructions. This is what I'm talking about here within the actual GPT. So a lot of your specific instructions have to be listed down here in knowledge files. And so I created an actual system instruction file, and that's what we're taking a look at right now. So in this system instruction file, it's telling them to start with the welcome message. It's telling them when a student puts in a module, they need to tell you what number it is, that you're not supposed to improvise or say anything that's not in that module script that I've already shown you. If a module includes multiple chapters, you must present the full module summary and checkpoint questions. And here's the specific instructions for checkpoint questions. When you reach the checkpoint questions for a module, you must present them exactly as written, and it references that resource library script only markdown file that I have shown you. And if you can't find it, then you need to give them that they're not loading correctly and notify your instructor. It's telling the GPT to only give 1 question at a time and not to give question 2 until question 1 is correctly answered. I don't see anything within this file that is going to cause any action. Okay, here's checkpoint retrieval rule at the bottom. When the student types done for the module, display the module chapter summary. Retrieve the checkpoint questions from that specific file and display them exactly from the begin copy to the end copy block. If the correct student question block for module X cannot be found, say so. So let's make sure really quick before we move on that we have this begin copy, end copy block on our module checkpoint file. So begin copy, end copy. We do have it. So I don't see what the issue is here. And by the way, module 7 is the last module. So it's funny, we're not having any other issues with modules 5 or 6, but we're having issues with module 7. So at this point, I could start randomly changing prompts within the GPT or instructions within the GPT, but that's usually a bad idea. And so instead, I'm going to use my AI to help me think through the problem before I start changing things. So what you're seeing here is a past multi-day, multi-month conversation that I've had with ChatGPT, and all of this is how I created Riley Response in the first place. So I'm actually going into that past chat because ChatGPT has memory, and I want it to remember all of the things that we have discussed prior. And this is going to be the chat where I talk to it about how to fix the problem that's happening right now. So what I've done is uploaded those markdown files that we already checked. And now I'm going to ask GPT for help on how to fix it. So because this is already a chat that I've had with ChatGPT, it already knows all the background information on Riley response, so I don't need to talk about it. But I'm telling it in this prompt that there's an issue with module 7, and it's the last module in the course. I'm telling it how one student received 1 question, another student received 3. I'm telling it about what happened when I tested it, that it gave me 2 questions, but the second one's not verbatim. I tell it that I went through the script, I went through the knowledge files, and I believe they're okay, but I have included them, and I want ChatGPT to help me identify the most logical reason why this is happening. And let's see what it gives us. So it's treating it like a retrieval debugging problem, not a student did something wrong problem, which is true. And it thought for about 19 seconds, and it told me that the most likely issue is not that module 7's checkpoint file is wrong. Your module 7 student checkpoint file clearly contains exactly 2 questions, and the key file also contains 2 answers, which we had verified that. The problem is that the GPT is getting conflicting signals across your instruction file and script file. Okay, so here are our most likely causes. Your system instructions conflict about where checkpoint questions live. Early in the rules, the GPT is told when you reach the checkpoint questions for a module, present them exactly as written in resource library script only. But later, under the knowledge file rules and checkpoint retrieval rule, it is correctly told student-facing questions come from module checkpoint student markdown file, and the answer key comes from the module checkpoints key markdown file. That contradiction matters. And then it's going to give me a way to fix it. Remove every instruction that says checkpoint questions are in the resource library script file. And this is because I had already fixed this one other time, and I had to create that separate module checkpoint student markdown file, because when I had it all within this resource library script file, it was missing a lot of it. It was too much in one file. So in a previous fix, I had created this additional file. So apparently I haven't corrected all the references to that resource library script file. The other reason it says is inside the resource library file, each module say checkpoint questions are stored in module checkpoints only.md, but your actual file names are different than that. So that is definitely an issue. Again, this checkpoint only file was a previous file, and then during some previous revisions to try to debug it, I had changed that. So I'm going to need to replace all of those placeholders with the correct file name so that it knows where to look for it. And number 3, module 7 script uses singular wording, but module 7 actually has 2 questions. So in your resource libraries module 7 section, the stop rule says do not provide the chapter summary or checkpoint question until the student types done. And the final instruction says after the student completes the question. So that's telling Riley that there's only 1 question. So that could also be an issue. Here we go. We even have a 4th way to fix it. Module 6 has 3 questions, so retrieval may be bleeding into the wrong module. Interesting. Your module 6 checkpoint has 3 questions while module 7 has 2. If a student got 3 questions in module 7, that strongly suggests Riley retrieved the module 6 checkpoint block out of module 7. So we need to add some hard module boundaries. Okay, and it gives us how to do that. Wow, even another one. Your one at a time rule can make it look like students received only one question. Your system instructions say, ask question 1 first, do not show question 2 until question 1 is answered correctly. So if a student says, I only got one question, that may be expected behavior if they never answered question 1 correctly. But your other report where students got 3 questions or a rewritten question 2 is not explained by that. So it's going to give me a complete fix here for this particular file. It's going to give me a complete fix here for the answer key. It's going to tell me how to replace and fix the system instructions. And then it's going to tell me about changing question to questions for module 7. And so as you can see here, it's really giving me a step-by-step evaluation on how to fix it. And so my next step would be go into each of these files and fix the files and then test Riley again. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to fix those files. I'm going to upload the fixed files into Riley Response, and then I'm going to test it again. So stand by. I'll be back with you after I do all of the fixes that it suggested. I had ChatGPT actually create the updated files for me, and I have deleted the old files in my knowledge files, and I have uploaded the new files into my knowledge files. And so now we're just going to test it out and see if the corrections have made this work better. And we're waiting for our 2 checkpoint questions now. We have the summary for chapter 10. We have our first checkpoint question. We're going to go ahead and answer it. And let's see if the second checkpoint question is correct. Go ahead and answer this one. Make sure that it's only going to give us 2. And it did. Check to make sure that they're correct. So here's question 1. And it matches question 1 in the knowledge file. And here is question 2. And it matches what is in the knowledge file. So based on those corrections that ChatGPT gave us, it looks like it has fixed the issue.
I wish I could tell you every custom GPT works perfectly once you build it. They don't. The reality is that production GPTs require testing, refining, and constant improvements. That's especially true when real people are using them every day. If you've ever had your GPT ignore instructions that seemed perfectly clear, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear what happened and how you fixed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.